Welcome back to Chamber Exchange. I want to thank Bank Hometown for helping make it happen. We're in our final segment. I'm thrilled to have with us Steve Biondolillo, who's the founder and president of Biondolillo Associates, but more importantly, he is the brain and the idea man behind the National Baseball Poetry Festival, which will be coming to Worcester. Steve, just to give you a chance to talk about your company, Biondolillo Associates.
Well, surely, Tim, here's the easy way to understand us. We're the firm that gets the credit or the blame, depending on your viewpoint on this type of fundraising, for having both brought to scale and driven to peak the walkathon movement in the United States. And we have some strong connection to the city of Worcester that way. Some 20 years ago, I wrote the concept paper for UMass Memorial's wonderful walkathon, the Walk to Cure Cancer, and then spent 10 years working with UMass to build capacity in the organization to do that type of large-scale grassroots fundraiser.
Yeah, that's a major event for UMass and raises money for them, but literally brings people from New England to the city. Usually weather cooperates with that. And if people were with us on our first segment, we had Phil George from Holistic Health Practitioners saying that walking is a good thing because you move your gluteus maximus and your quads, which are your biggest muscles, and that leads to all good things. So you're spreading health and wellness and raising money for nonprofits across the country.
Exactly.
So congratulations on that.
Exactly.
But we're here to talk about your idea,
Right.
which Worcester will be the home to the first National Baseball Poetry Festival, and hopefully the home forever.
Correct.
What led to that, and baseball and poetry, how do they come together?
Well, first of all, in terms of us creating that idea, I'm a baseball fan, right? When I grew up, baseball was the main sport, right? That's how old I am, by the way.
Yep.
And so with the love of that game, and also you have an English literature major and graduate student sitting here, the love of poetry,
yep.
I thought, wow, this is a great combination. Baseball is the single sport most represented in the fine arts, whether that's film, novel, short story, even music. And we'll get on to the Worcester connection in a minute. So I thought, wow, we have, there's got to be a festival that brings these two things together. Baseball's also entwined with the country's narrative, right? It's the national pastime. So I thought, what better thing? And of course, poetry being perhaps, in my view, the most powerful of the narrative art forms, the most memorable and memorizable of the art forms. I thought, perfect for a festival. Reached out to a friend of mine. I'm a published poet, and I'm published on a site called Baseball Bard. And so I reached out to Mark Sickman, who is the creator of the Baseball Bard website, which aggregates over 300 baseball poets in the US. I said, Mark, do you think you could aggregate 40, 50 poets from across the country and bring them into Massachusetts to do a festival, a national festival? Right. And he said, sure, let's do this. And so that was the genesis of this project. And
you alluded to that. Worcester has a special connection there.
Had to be Worcester.
Right.
It had to be Worcester, right? So Worcester, forget all of its other connections to baseball, is actually the hometown of Ernest Thayer, who wrote not just the most famous baseball poem in history, but arguably one of the greatest poems ever written in American literature, Casey at the Bat, Ballad of the Republic in 1888, apologize, in 1888. Yeah, so a wonderful, wonderful, powerful poem.
And that tradition, of baseball, the Blackstone Industrial Baseball League, which, well-known, great, baseball players, people like managers, Jesse Burkett, Ty Cobb. Babe Ruth, when he's playing for the Boston Red Sox, used to come to Worcester to socialize and blow off some steam in various venues, some of which are in the Canal District, very close to Polar Park. So, and some great teams, that have played over the years in Little League and softball that have gone to, national semifinals and championship games. So, just a great tradition here of baseball, but also the arts as well.
Absolutely. And so, once we had the thought that, okay, we're going to be here, of course, reached out to the Woo Sox, and the Woo Sox were wonderful, embracing, generous, open, and have basically agree to work with us throughout this entire wonderful National Baseball Poetry Festival weekend at the end of April.
So yes, let's get into that. The dates. We got the dates where this is all going to happen.
Yeah, April 28, 29, and 30 with
Friday,
the bulk of the
Saturday, and
activities.
Sunday,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, on the 28th and 29th. And most of the proceedings and activities will happen at Polar Park.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a welcome in the DCU Club. There'll be some tours of the stadium. And then underpinning the whole festival are contests that we're promoting in all sort of demographic segments, if you think about it. We've got contests for elementary school students, middle school students, high school students, little leaguers, college students, and then just open for any adult anywhere who wants to write about baseball.
And so we've got these 40, 50 poets flying in from across the country, and then with a lot of good work of our committee, and I want to give a shout out to school committee members, Molly McCullough and Jermaine Johnson. They helped get the Worcester Public Schools involved. Young people kind of practicing this form of art and incorporating their baseball perception and experience into it. So there's going to be on Saturday.
Absolutely. It's going to be on Saturday. And on Saturday, there'll be in the berm, which is outside the outfield at Polar Park, we're going to have all the kids reading, reciting, performing their own poetry. We have one teacher in town, Sarah Connor, who's bringing, I think, 75 kids from her program in the Worcester Public School are entering the contest, and hopefully most of them will show up.
And then Saturday night, we're going to have 6 venues in the Canal District where these poets from across the country are coming, and then it'll be an open mic night.
Absolutely, and so that'll be a lot of fun. We'll probably have 6 or 7 poets at each of 6 venues, and then of course the public, come on out, anyone with a poem. Even I understand and have heard through the grapevine you have a poem.
I've got a first line that I'm ready to go. Behind the plate, the catcher sits with resolve, determination, and grit. I got to work on the rest.
It's a start. It's a start. As I often say, it's a ligne donné. It's a given line. And so you start with the line, you build your poem around it.
Got it. So we have a website with all the specifics and dates and locations and times, right? People can go to Baseball Poetry Fest.
Yeah, baseballpoetryfest.org. Baseballpoetryfest.org.
And we're on Facebook at National Baseball Poetry Festival, on Twitter at NBF23, Instagram Baseball Poetry Fest. And I'm just going to run through, we've got our sponsors, Biondolillo Associates, the Chamber of Commerce, Discover Central Mass has been a big contributor here, the Video Bank, Bay State Savings Bank, the Eppinger Family, United Way, the George and Sybil Fuller Foundation, WPI, Holy Cross, UMass Chan Medical, the Woo Sox, and Baseball Bard.
You got them all. There
right.
It is. That's wonderful.
So
yeah, it's been a wonderful. It's all volunteer.
Right.
All of us have come together. All of us have full-time jobs. Yet we've come together to launch this festival, and it should be a wonderful. Ultimately, think about it as a great sports cultural tourism project for Worcester to build on the wonderful renaissance that's been going on.
First of many.
Okay.
Thank you for coming up with the idea. We're happy to help you. Thank you for being with us here. We had a great show today, and go to that baseballpoetryfest.org site. It's going to be a fun weekend.